Although the numbers are lower than the past 2 years, it is a record-setting year for both retention, international students, and the countries they come from. The total enrollment of full-time students at Wartburg is 1,643. That's about 30 lower than last year's enrollment and 90 lower than the year before. Even with the lower numbers, Wartburg is still the second largest private college in the state. Wartburg is a tuition-driven institution, meaning enrollment can have an impact on the college's overall budget. While enrollment may be down, retention remains high at 88%. Wartburg did hit a record for international recruiting. This year, 165 international students represent 60 countries.
There isn't another school like us in the state, or probably even in the region, that has as much diversity as we do, and strong academic profile, and strong retention.
According to Dr. Waldstein, the college has received more applications for next year than last year at this time. All of these local veterans have something in common, a shared experience, one that only a war veteran would understand. World War II veteran Les Zelli, his story begins in Eisenach, Germany, Waverly's sister city.
By the time we got to Eisenach, the Germans were pretty tired of war. They actually, many of them were just very glad to see us.
His military experience ended with a ring.
Oh, that was a good part about the Army. I found my wife in North Carolina.
For Vietnam veteran Ed Wabana, he would not only face battles on the field, but also back at home.
We had to walk past this one fence, and there was people there hollering at us, calling us everything they could. I remember them calling me a baby killer. We used to not even tell anybody that we even was over in Vietnam because people just didn't understand what we went through.
These performances are more than just a holiday concert. The proceeds benefit Camp Courageous. Camp Courageous serves 6,500 individuals with disabilities. It's located in Monticello, just a couple miles from where McDonough grew up. He donates all of the proceeds from the Holiday Grand Concert Tour to the camp.
When you give, you also receive. And I have been so fortunate to be associated with Camp Courageous.
Camp Courageous Executive Director has known McDonough for over 30 years and says his talent has had a huge impact on the camp.
The money, of course, is always important to the camp because it's run on donations. And as important as the money is, I think having Jim and Jim's reputation take the camp under their wings and expose so many other people to the camp is something you really can't put a price on.
I think it is thrilling, personally, that we can not only take to these beautiful venues the message of Christmas, but also the message of Camp Courageous.
During the fall season, you might see hunters out shooting deer and pheasants, but this hunter is shooting something different. Pictures. Kip Ladegi owns his own photography business that started with portraits, but turned into nature photography.
There's just something about being in the outdoors where I can relax, I can unwind, and it doesn't matter how stressful my day has been, it doesn't matter how challenging. If I get out and get to spend some time shooting photos, it's like that stuff just all goes away.
His photography hobby did start with hunting, though.
So I started carrying a camera in one hand and a bow in the other hand, and I soon found out that you can't take both out there and do either one of them very well.
The secret to good pictures?
To shoot a lot of these pictures is just patience, lots and lots of patience. You find the species, you kind of get an idea where they're at, and then you just work the opportunities.
In fact, this shot took 3 to 4 hours a night, 5 nights a week, for 9 weeks. This is Josh Jacobs, a high school senior. He's a straight A student and wants to be a doctor to help prevent sports injuries.
I had 4 concussions. It scares me a little bit to think maybe my brain might not function as well later on in my life.
A concern expressed by Postville's wrestling coach, a conference All-American from Central College.
I've had 9 concussions. I have a minor brain bleed right now. My ears have been ringing for about a year straight now. I have a brain book because I have a short-term memory loss now, and I'll forget something 30 seconds later, so I just write down what I forget.
All but one of his brain injuries came from sports. As a coach now, he looks out for his players.
It's not a joke at all. You got to monitor it right away. If someone hits their head, even a little bump, and they say that they're just feeling a little bit funny, you better just pull them out, play it safe.
An athlete is allowed to have 3 concussions a year before being pulled from sports. Josh has only had one concussion per year, so he technically still could play, but he followed his doctor's advice to not play his very last season of high school football.
Heads up. It was not an easy decision. It was one of the hardest decisions we had to make. It's still hard every Friday night when we watch the team play because, you know, you want your child to be happy and fulfill his dreams.
And Josh's future? He wants one that's injury-free.
Kids, I think, understand that concussions can be a problem, so they need to be really vocal about communicating that with coaches, because the sooner they can tell you what's going on, the sooner we can fix those things.
Although he will never play high school football again, Josh still goes to practice to support his team and says that sports are still important.
Just that I miss playing, but it's probably worth it.
Of course, we want to see our teams do well in our school, but each individual is more important than getting to state.
We're the best kept secret in the country, and we don't intend to be that way.
We've seen them in parades with their unique hats and tiny cars, but what are Shriners?
The majority of the Shrine work is working with the kids, and yes, we have fun, but my focus is on working with the children and helping them and helping their parents. That's why we became a Shriner.
This Shriners group is known as the Vintage Auto Unit. In order to be a part of it, you have to have a car that's 25 years or older. Shriners run 22 children's hospitals across the country for families who are not able to use regular hospitals. Locally, Shriners help about 2,000 families across Northeast Iowa.
These kids get turned down, they say they can't help them. They come to us, and our doctors not only help them, they make them right. And they give these kids a chance, and it's just unbelievable to be part of that.
And for one family, a child is able to use his hands because of the Shriners.
We didn't know, what to do or where to go. And then they sent us to the hospital up there.
This is Christopher. He suffers from a condition called dylactia. Simply, it means he's missing some fingers and toes. He was able to get surgery at the Shriners Hospital.
I got so worried about it, I was crying, what are we going to do? And they just sent me down, don't worry about it, you're taken care of. They're such wonderful people, they really are. And so sweet and nice and caring. And they just mean the world to us, they really do. They're just like our second family.
If somebody calls and they don't know who to call for their problem, they call the fire department. So you need to be able to handle cats in the trees and missing people, water rescues, car accidents.
Like most other small-town fire departments, they don't receive very much money. But the department says they're lucky to be in Waverly.
We have a community that supports us very well. I know of some of the other struggles with the communities around us. A lot of times it's hard to keep up to date on the equipment.
The city allocates $160,000 for equipment and wages. However, the average cost for uniform, $5,000. And pay for the firefighters? Only $6 per call. And the trucks are multi-million dollars. All of that equipment has to be updated every 10 years.
I'll get water to them when they holler that they're ready for water.
Mike Sabursky is 79 years old and has been a firefighter for 47 years. He says what they do is something that can't be bought.
Our motto is to protect life and property. And if I can help somebody out, that's what I want to do.
Just the most meaningful thing for me is just being able to help people.
It's something that is taught at a young age for many on the Waverly Fire Department. They have 5 father-son teams. Wartburg student Jordan Miller is a 4th-generation firefighter.
And I've always known that I wanted to be a firefighter someday. So when the time came, I felt like it was my chance.
I was thrilled when he decided he wanted to join.
The firefighters put themselves in potentially life-threatening situations to help their community. And at the end of the day, they have each other.
And when you go on a fire call, you may be dependent upon him to save your life. You got to be friends. So, and we are. We might squabble here a little bit, but not on a fire ground.
The guys are your best men in your weddings, and sometimes they're your pallbearers at your funeral. You get some very close bonds down here, and I can't think of a more dedicated bunch that I would want to be a part of than the fire department.
We're family. That's all I can say is we're family.
The firefighters say the most rewarding part about their volunteering is teaching kids about fire prevention.
Kevin Miller says he's taught around 8,000 kids how to be safe around fire.